And then my first, like I said, my first 30 days, I talked to over 6,000 people. Nothing.
Holy moly. That's a lot of
Nothing
people.
at all that first 30 days. And then I fast forward, by day 60, I had 10 closings on the board.
Real conversations with Amy Dahl about wealth, about generosity, and about family success. Welcome to the Dollars and Cents, the podcast.
Well, good morning and welcome to Dollars and Cents, the podcast, where we talk about family success, wealth building, and generosity. And I am super excited to have Quintavius Burdette, better known as Q to all of us RE/MAX folks and to people around the world, to come join us today. Q, thank you so much. I know how busy you are. I know the schedule that you keep. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I am excited to welcome you. You have a lot going on right now. First, I want to congratulate you. You and your wife had a beautiful little boy this year.
We did 6 months old and growing really, really fast. The doctor told us they would like for him to be 21 pounds by his first birthday. Well, he's 21 pounds at 6 months. So it's crazy. He's growing so fast.
That's awesome. It's a game changer, isn't it? Changes your life.
Yes, for me, for sure.
In ways that you just can't plan. So Q, I want to tell the listeners today and share a little bit about your incredible real estate journey. You have come so far in such a short amount of time. So give us a little background, because you just got your real estate license in 2019, right?
Yeah. So I started 6 years ago and set a goal to only do it for 5 years. So I put in an extra year, but in those 6 years, my very first year, which is, I think, is the most incredible thing for a brand new agent. Of everything that I've done, I still go back to my very first year and look at it and say, wow. I sold 106 houses that first year, and then from there just continued to grow to where, in my 6-year career, I sold over 1,000 properties. And it was just nothing short of amazing, but it was a lot of grind, a lot of work, a lot of trial and error, a lot of trying to figure it out until it started to click.
Yeah. And we started talking before we were on camera today a little bit about, you're from a really big family and you've been hugely successful in real estate, but do you attribute some of that to your background and your growing up? And tell us a little bit about yourself personally.
Yeah. So one of 17 kids, come from a very small town, big family, where my parents, they never made more than $40,000 in a year. But growing up, we did not realize how poor we really were, just from the standpoint of my family, mom, dad, uncles, whatever, they all worked and they pitched in together to help. We almost had everything that we wanted, which now I feel kind of guilty about looking back on it, of all the things that, I was asking for as a kid. Maybe I shouldn't have, but it was just, I was an athlete growing up, played football, ran track. That took me all the way through college. Got a scholarship to play at Ole Miss, got a master's in accounting while I was at Ole Miss, and then moved to Atlanta. Take a small town kid, dump him in Atlanta, Georgia, and here we go. Because I took my first accounting job, where it only took me about 3 months to figure out this is not what I want to do. This is awful. And not just the work, the city. I was coming from a small town where I started driving when I was 10 years old. I could drive to the store and come back 4 or 5 miles up the road. Takes me 3 minutes, 4 minutes, whoop-de-doo. Yeah. You take me in Atlanta 3 to 4 miles and it's taking me 45 minutes, an hour. Come on, get me home ASAP. But what really did it for me was, at the first of the year, I started in October, and then by the first of the year, I was done, because they sat me down and they went over the billing report. And I was seeing a bunch of $100 an hour, $400 an hour, $500 an hour for the work that I was doing. And I told myself, like, golly, they've made my salary within the first 2 weeks of me even being here. And here I am thinking I'm doing what's best for my family. So I just Googled what profession I can make what I'm worth. Real estate popped up. I saw a video. A guy was talking about how to make $100,000 in your first year in real estate. And I'm thinking to myself, if he can do $100,000, he's teaching folks how to do $100,000, I think I can do 500. but I have to
Nice.
go back home to try to have that chance to do it. So
Yeah.
put a 2 week notice in the very next day. I didn't think about it long. It was one of those things I saw and I was like, you know what? This is what I'm going to do. I cannot sit in a cubicle any longer. I cannot drive in this traffic any longer. Get me home. So put a 2 week notice in. They didn't even require me to work the 2 weeks. They was like, dude, you've come here every day. You've shown up. You've done your work. Go. We're not going to hold you. Awesome. Perfect. Going to pay me for these 2 weeks? Yeah. Okay. Good.
Nice.
I'm on the road.
I'm
I'm out the
out.
door. And then I got my real estate license. And the journey has been amazing ever since. I've been in control.
That's awesome. And I think you tell the story that you actually Googled, what career path could make me successful, and that's how you
Yeah,
chose
yeah,
real
yeah.
estate.
I just said it. I just Googled what profession I can make what I'm worth, and
That's
then real
amazing.
estate popped up. And
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about real estate. I'm telling you, 6 years ago, I was as green as they came. I didn't even know the biggest real estate company in the world was a real estate company.
That's amazing.
And I tell that story is, the guy who owns our office, Sammy, before I left to go to KPMG, we chatted about me doing the accounting for his REMAX. So I thought REMAX was an accounting firm. Then
Oh
when
my
I was
gosh.
coming back, I called Sammy because I knew Sammy was into everything. So I was like, you know what? Let me call Sammy, see what he knows about real estate. And I asked him, I said, hey, I'm coming back home. I'm not doing accounting anymore. I want to get involved with real estate. And he was like, well,
Yeah.
Q, you should come and work, with me at my REMAX. And I was like, Sammy, you're not hearing me. I'm trying to do real estate, not accounting. And he was like, no, REMAX is a real estate firm. I was like, oh, okay. Sign me up. Well, where do I go? So we chatted, and when I got my license, I joined REMAX. I didn't do the shopping around, and ever since then, man, just being a part of this family has just been the most wonderful thing that I could have come in contact with, just from the relationships, the learning, just the folks at the top. So for me, it was just that initial, what is it? What can I do? And
Yeah.
it got my wheels turning to a point to where I was excited.
Yeah.
I was so excited that I blindly left my job, not knowing what to expect. But then, most folks, they do something like that, they want to keep it a secret. They want to see if it's going to go well before they start to talk about it. I
Yeah.
was just complete opposite.
Yeah.
When I put my
Well,
2 week notice in and I moved back home, I started telling everybody I'm gonna make 500 grand my first year in real estate. I'm gonna make 500 grand my first year in real estate.
nice.
Just based on the video that I saw a guy talking about doing 100.
Nice.
So it was that with now everybody telling me how impossible it is around my office, around the community, just everywhere. It's like, dude, you have to have this in place, this. And even Sammy, who believed in me through the roof, was like, look, I'll be happy if you did half of it, which is 250. And to be honest, Q, your very, very first year, even if you did half 250, man, that's a great year. But what people
Wow.
fail to realize is I put all my eggs in one basket. I have a plan A. I don't have plan B. And there's no one in the world that can dictate and tell me what's good enough for me besides me. 500 grand was my number. 500 grand is what I had to hit. And I did that my first year.
That's awesome. And did those naysayers, because I know how you grind. So tell me if those naysayers challenge you? And then because we're friends and I've heard you speak a couple of times, tell us about how you grind. Because, people
Yeah.
think this is easy or it just came to you, but you are the epitome of hard work and sacrifice to make it happen if it's important.
Yeah. I tell everybody I'm the luckiest guy on the planet when it comes to real estate. But I feel like one of the hardest working folks. And I was always told the harder you work, the luckier you'll get. So all I knew was hard work because I didn't have all these tools that everybody was saying that I needed. So, folks was telling me I couldn't do it. They was challenging me, yes. But what happened was I got back. And the very first thing I did when I got back and got a real estate license, I broke the real estate law. I didn't even have my license yet. And I was out passing out flyers saying real estate agent coming soon. And, I got a call from my broker, was like, dude, you can't do that. And I was just like, man, golly, what can I do in this business? Then my license came in. And in my first 30 days of being licensed, I talked to over 6,000 people. That was 200 to 300
Holy
people.
moly.
Yes, every single day, 200 to 300 people.
And you track
And
it. You
oh
track
yeah,
those numbers.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure, for sure. So, and that was the only tracking that I've ever done. And then I realized I was sitting there wasting precious time trying to figure out how many I've talked to, how many. Yeah, it takes me
Yeah.
4 or 5 hours to do. I can just
Right.
go try to meet another 40, 50 people. So
Yeah.
then the tracking started and the tracking stopped all within the first month and a half, 2 months of being in business. And then my first, like I said, my first 30 days, I talked to over 6,000 people, nothing.
Holy moly. That's a lot of
Nothing
people.
at all that first 30 days. And then I fast forward by day 60, I had 10 closings on the board because some of
Holy
those folks
moly.
started to call back. Some of those folks wanted to meet. Some of those folks was ready. And what really showed me that what I was doing was working, not just working in terms of results, but working in terms of motivation for me to continue. I went to someone's house at like 9 o'clock that morning. I knocked the entire subdivision, but this specific house I went to as well. Then later that afternoon, I went to Kroger.
Uh-huh.
I was there at Kroger around 4 o'clock. And that same couple was in Kroger. They did not approach me. It was not until they called me and was like, we want you to sell our house. I'm like, me? I'm a brand new agent. You sure you want that? And they was like, yeah, dude. You came to our house at 9 o'clock in the morning. We went to my son's baseball game, did all this stuff, came back to go grocery shopping. You were still in the same clothes, same approach, handing out these same letters in Kroger. That
Yeah.
spoke to us, that showed us that you really, really want this. And then that right there, I was addicted. I was addicted to that feeling because now it was no longer about how many doors can you knock. It was about me having the potential to be seen by somebody in 2 different places and them giving me another opportunity. So I just went crazy. Went all around the city doing it. I stayed at Kroger doing it. I went to new construction subdivisions. I did all these crazy things that most folks don't want to do. And it wasn't really fear based off of, oh, I want these closings. It was just the opportunity to know what I'm doing. Someone is out there recognizing it. I just have to continue to put this work in. And fast forward, 12 months, and here we go. That work that I put in my very first year turned into 106 homes. And it was just my way of saying, you know what? I can do this. I've done this. And I hit my goal of 500 grand my first year in Mississippi.
I know. And that's
Not
amazing. I
California,
don't understand. You're not
not
an
New York.
expensive market.
No,
Yeah.
200 grand. Average price point at the time.
That is
And actually it was
crazy.
like 195.
Yeah.
So
That is
it was
crazy.
it was so fun. And then so everyone around me who was doubting me started to shift. I used to go to these folks and I used to ask for advice. I used to ask for help, and they didn't want to help.
Yeah.
Then when I did it, everybody was, oh, we knew you could do it. You worked hard. No, you didn't know I could do it. You said I couldn't.
They were your motivation.
Oh, correct. But that's how I operate.
Yeah.
I put out these wild, crazy ideas, and I wait for people to say, you can't do that. For example, the very first time I hit Pinnacle, and for all the listeners who don't know, RE/MAX folks, they know what Pinnacle is. But for
Yeah.
everyone else, Pinnacle is 2 million plus in GCI. Okay?
It's the top tier of gross commission incomes for an agent in the
Yes.
RE/MAX organization.
So what I did was my very first year I hit Pinnacle, I was actually at R4, and
Which is our
Brian
conference.
Bowes, yes, Brian Bowes, shout out to Brian Bowes down there in South Florida, Delray Boca area. I was talking, I didn't know him. He didn't know me. We were just talking about the years and the goals and what to expect. And I told him I was there to speak and all that. And he was just like, why won't you hit Diamond? Because I told him my very first 2 years, I did Chairman's Club, which is 500 grand, and then I did it again. And then my next year, I wanted to just bump the Titan. I just wanted to go up 250 grand. And he was like, well, why can't you do Diamond? And then another guy, I don't even remember who he is, he was from a California market, and he was like, yeah, you should probably stop at Diamond because there's no agent in that area that's going to hit Pinnacle. I was like,
And that's all she wrote. That's all he had to say to light that fire.
I didn't even know that was a thing. I was like, what is Pinnacle? He was like, that's what the big boys are doing, 2 million plus. From there on, I was like, you know what? It's on. Our conference was in like March. So I only had 9 months left to go. And I was probably at the time, probably at like maybe 150 to 200 maybe. I think I had closed like 30 deals or so. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go for it. I went crazy. I was calling everybody. And I started to shift my focus. I did not leave my office for one buyer. I only focused on sellers, and I only focused on folks who had 10 or more houses that can sell them in bulk or buy in bulk. I created a big, long list of folks who are not willing to sell, but they are willing to buy. Then I started coming across the folks who were saying, you know what? I got 70 houses. I'm ready to sell. Oh, I got 80 houses. I'm ready to sell. I would put these deals together. Fast forward to November, not even December. By November, I hit Pinnacle for the first time.
That is amazing.
And that's when I started to realize it just takes the challenge. It takes the person to tell me what cannot be done for me to activate. So then I just started telling everybody what I wanted to do even more so I could start to hear. No, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. And it's just been an amazing journey.
That's awesome. All right, so let's shift focus, because one of the things that you and I get to talk about a lot is because we both believe in the power of buying rental properties.
Yes.
So in the middle of all of this, you're crushing it in listings and sales, and you turn your attention to buying your first rental property. I want to say it was 2020. Don't quote me on that. You've been in business for a year? 21. Yeah. Okay. So tell us about that shift in mindset and where you've gone from there.
Yeah. So 2020, I had money in the stock market, and this is the best I've ever done in a stock market, to where, you know, I made 140 grand in the stock market, and I'm thinking like, oh, this is awesome. So I kept my money in there, but it wasn't paying me anything every single month. And then talked to a guy. He told me he had, you know, a couple houses. And I was like, okay, awesome. How do you buy? What do you do? Given, like I said, I don't understand anything about real estate now. I'm only a year in. I just know how to go out there and connect and try to get business. So I still don't know how to buy yet. So I'm asking, okay, how do you do it? Okay, awesome. So I went to the bank for my first two, and they put up 80%. I put down to 20, and I was happy. But then I started to do the math on the money that I had in my stock market and what I owed on the properties and what I was making. I was like, if I just pay off the houses, then I'll just be banking $3 grand a month, and I don't owe anybody. So I did that. I paid off the house. Boom. Both houses. Took all the money out of the stock market. Did that. And then I met a guy, and he was like, man, yeah, I have 100 houses. I was like, yeah, okay. You have 100 houses. Is that an exaggeration? He was like, no. So we actually, that day, that guy took the time to take me into his truck. We rode around. He was pointing out the houses, telling me about the houses. It probably took us 8 or 9 hours that day. He spent with me, showing me that. By house like 30, I was like, you know what? I believe you. I believe you. And now I see for myself what is possible. Then I talked to one of my mentors in my marketplace, which I didn't know at the time. He was like, yeah, Q, I have, 45 houses, and but I only buy cash. I only buy what my money can afford, and this is why. So now I have these two different models, and I'm trying to weigh which ones work best for me. Given now, I've already started to say, you know what? If I just pay this house off and it pays me $3,000 a month, I don't have the headache of worrying about anybody coming back taking it, because I heard those stories of folks who lost everything in 08, 09, 2010. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to buy slow. I'm going to buy what my money can afford. So that's when I was like, okay, every single month that I have a great month, go broke. Go broke. Every single time.
And you
And so
downsized, right? Did you downsize about this time? You and your wife you weren't even married at the
we
time, or you
got
were
married
close.
in 2020.
Okay.
All right. So same
And
year we got married was when we first started buying our the rental properties.
she was off
And
in school, so you simplified, right?
correct, correct. So she was in Nashville. I was here. I got an apartment. It was $1,800 a month. I knew exactly what it's going to cost me.
Yep.
Then from there, it was just buy as much as you can. So I have a good month selling 200-300. I would go and spend it all. So now it
Yep.
kept me coming back to the office, trying to do it over and over and over and over again. Then it got to the point to where I was buying 5, 6, 10 houses some
Yeah.
years, and now we're talking about depreciation. I'm learning all about that stuff. So it
Yep.
was a benefit for me to buy for the future, but also for tax purposes. So it was a thing where I was totally all in on it.
Yeah.
I was working to set up the retirement. And I set a goal that I said, hey, I want to have 30 houses by the time I'm 30. And in my mind, what it was is buying a house for every single year that I had been alive and that I didn't have the opportunity to buy. And my family could not buy for me. So I set that goal to have 30 by 30. I turned 30 this year. Wait, I'll be 31 this year. So I turned 30
Yeah.
last year,
Okay.
2024, and we was at 45.
Wow.
And now, we bought 6 houses between now and then. So we're actually at 51. I'm closing on one on Wednesday that I just bought. And it's been an amazing journey.
That is really awesome. It's really
Yeah.
awesome. To all the naysayers and to all the people that think you've got to come from money to make money, it's all about how bad you want it and how hard you're willing to work.
That's it.
Yeah. And
That's
I've
it.
watched you and Emily give up things to make it work. And now you're in a
Yeah.
different phase in life, right? Now you're in
Well,
daddy life.
yeah, and this is what I tell folks all the time. There's not many agents, young or who's been in the business 30, 40 years, that has the discipline to actually see it through, to
Yeah.
actually see it, to go without. And when I say go without, now I'm not talking about I didn't have food on the table. No, we had food,
Yeah.
but I didn't do the vacations. I don't have, at the time didn't have the fancy cars and the nice house, and I still don't have a nice watch. I have a G-Shock watch. It tells me the time. Okay,
I
I
love
don't
it.
have all the fancy shoes and the red bottoms and all that. Do I have some nice shoes? Yeah, I have maybe one or two pair, but I don't have 30, 40, 50 pair of shoes that cost me $1,000. That's just not me.
Yeah.
So I was very conservative, but what I do have is a portfolio that I own. And I tell folks all the time, especially young folks like me right now, we never have the opportunity to have these two things. Either you have money and no time, or you
Yep.
have time and no money.
So true.
When you're young, very rarely do those two things meet.
Yeah.
So when you start to have success, it's okay to pump the brakes to say, you know what? I have a source of income that is sufficient enough to where I can take the time to do some of the things that I really want to do. And
Yeah.
I was forced. My first 3 years, even after, my third year is the first year that I made 2 million. Okay? Even after that year, I did not even feel comfortable taking
Yeah.
time then. So it was still just grind mode, grind mode, grind mode, grind mode, till the point to where I'm at now, and I look up and I say, you know what? I finally have both at
Yeah.
one time, and I'm going to take advantage of it. And most times, what happens is when you're young or when you're older, when you're successful and you're making the money, you get so caught up and consumed in that you never ever look across and say, let me make time until it's too
Yeah.
late.
Yeah.
I didn't want that to be me. I
Yep.
wanted to live. I didn't want to wait until I was 40, 50, 60 years old to start doing things that requires what they say, retirement. And I tell folks right now, I just announced it on my Facebook. I am in a source of retirement right now.
Yeah.
Whereas, I'm not seeking to do anything more than to be present with my family. If we want to leave for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we're going to do that. And if folks aren't happy with it, I'm so sorry. Because there was a time when I couldn't do it
Yeah.
and no one was offering to take me.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Yeah. Well, good on you. You hustled and grind in the beginning. And I tell people the harder you work in the beginning, the dividends come in the end. Just
Yep.
put your head down and grind. And especially in real estate for those first 3 years.
100%. And
Yeah.
how I was buying houses, I have a very simple formula that I kind of created for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I allow the spreadsheet to tell me if I should buy it or not and for what price I can pay for it. It tells me true or false on the deals. I just put the numbers in. But one
Nice.
thing that's, kind of the baseline is I have to have at least an 11% return. And
Uh-huh.
then I have to have at least 20,000 in equity from day one. As long as those two things are present and they fit in my buy box, I buy it. So all of my properties, if I'm looking at my spreadsheet right now, my recoup time on every single property, my average is 6 years. So
Wow.
every 6 years, I recoup all the money that I've put in, and I say, really it's 7 years because what about a house go vacant for a month after? So I just say
Yeah.
add an extra year on that. So every 7 years, if I did nothing else, if I didn't raise the rents, if I do anything else, I can recoup every 7 years.
Now you're managing them yourself.
I manage myself. Yeah.
Yeah. That's been a journey, right?
It has, and it's a thing of the relationship with the
Yeah,
tenant.
it
Like
is.
I have tenants who, I'm not saying all my tenants pay about the first every single month, nor do I care if they do. I don't
Yeah.
have anyone beating down my door to say, pay me right now. So I extend that grace to them. But
Yeah.
it's an open line of communication that I think if I had a property management company in the middle, that wouldn't go so well. I would have probably a lot of turnover because they would be ready to evict. So some of my tenants, they hit me up, hey Q, I can't pay until the 10th this month. Cool, pay on the 10th. Hey
Yeah.
Q, I can't pay until the 17th. Cool, pay on the 17th. And that right there has allowed my tenants to say, you know what, there's nowhere else that I can go that's going to be this under. I actually just got a text message 2 nights ago from one of my tenants just saying that, just, hey, thank you so much for being so understanding. You've been nothing but a blessing to me and my family, blah, 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 blah. I don't think they ever leave.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things. It's allowed me just to be, a great person to everyone around me. And some landlords are, no, it's due on the first, later on, blah, 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 blah. That's not me.
Yeah. So you're enjoying retirement. What are your plans for 2025? Other than,
2025 it's one of those. I'm leaving it open.
Mhm.
I have some opportunities that I can't speak of right now. Um,
This is like talking to you a couple months before Survivor, before you came out with that. It's the,
oh well,
well,
it's,
well, I'm
it's
doing
different.
things, but I can't tell you yet.
Right, correct. But it's just it's fun times,
Yeah.
it's fun times for me. So I want to make sure I'm present for him. We're going. Ace is starting to get his passport because he can start traveling a little bit more. So I think we're going to try
Nice.
to go abroad for a little bit and just live 2 or 3 weeks abroad and just
Nice.
have fun with family. And then just from there, it's just watching my boy grow, being present, giving my wife the space and support that she needs to grow within her career. She's a PA. She
Yep.
just started working last year. So, now she's on her grind,
Yeah.
to build her career, which is so fun to sit back and watch and to be present for and to
Yeah.
support that. So, for me, I'm not rushing into the next thing. And I was just telling someone this morning, I do my cold plunges every single day. And
I saw
now
that, by the way. That's crazy. 35
35
degree
degrees
water.
for 5 minutes. That's what I'm up
Crazy.
to. So, but what I've started to do over the last maybe week and a half, ever since I've kind of got that burden off me and said, you know what, I'm just going to announce it. Um, I've been creative thinking,
Yeah.
like so many great ideas and things that I should look into and start and do is coming to my brain and my mind in ways that it's never done because I had so much to think about within my real estate space. And I'm just so joyful. So I'm taking my time, I'm researching, I'm looking into more and more of these ideas because, something that, again, that we have that we take for granted is time.
Yeah,
And
so
I'm
true.
fortunate enough now to say, you know what, I'm gonna take my time with my next move. And
Yeah.
my real estate move, I tell folks, it was rushed, it was forced, it was something that was fun and I had to do. Now, just think about what I can actually accomplish if I sit down and I think through everything on the front end and map it out and then start
Right.
to tackle, which I live in a space of unknown anyways. So I just have to figure out which route I want to go. But oh man, let me tell you, the ideas have been flowing.
Oh, I'm so excited for you. That's really awesome. Well, I thank you. I know how busy you are for coming on and sharing your journey with us. You're really inspiring.
Yep.
I started my real estate career late after I had children. And so it's fun to share with people the different perspectives, starting young before you have a family and really crushing it and grinding it. So
Yep.
thank you for sharing.
Thank you for
Give
having
Emily
me.
and Ace my best and tell them hello. And we will catch up with you soon. Will we see you at R4 this year? You're probably
No,
chilling, huh?
I can't go to R4 this year simply. Two different companies, they booked me to come and speak at their
Oh, fun.
big company wide deal.
Yeah.
So I'm actually going. It's a lot of motivational stuff and journey talk, telling
Nice.
my story. So I was fortunate enough to be able to say yes to those before
That's
I knew the
awesome.
dates. It's
Yeah.
probably like 4 or 5 months ago. So those are going to conflict my ability to go to Vegas. And simply, most of my trips now are I leave the night before I speak, and I
Yeah.
leave the day that I speak. So I'm not gone but one night. If I
Yep.
come to R4, I have to stay at least 3 days.
Yeah.
And it's tough on Emily to have Ace for 3 days by herself and going to work and doing so. I just can't do it this year.
Yeah. I can relate to that. I have for years, because I have little ones at home. I leave
Yep.
as close to the conference as I can, and that night I'm taking the red eye back home. So
Correct.
I
Correct.
totally get it.
So hopefully next year I'll be able just to come and hang out with everyone. But who knows? You never know.
You never know. You might be on the other side of the world. I don't doubt it.
Correct. So, but I'm loving what I'm seeing from everyone else. Seems like everyone else is still having fun. I just want to just say this as I guess my closing. It doesn't matter if you're in the business 2 years, 1 year, 30 years. Start to focus on what your exit plan shall be. So many agents around the country, so many business savvy folks around the country that get caught up and consumed in success that they forget that at some point in time they should want to do something different or just enjoy life, or they get caught up in the lifestyle that one should have at that level and they spin, and they don't have a plan to exit. Don't let that be you. Start to invest today. I don't care if you buy one house, two houses, three. Buy something that you can carry forward to the next year.
Awesome advice. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Q. I hope you guys have a great, great 2025. And
Yes,
to our
ma'am.
listeners, if you like this podcast, click like and subscribe. And
Real conversations with Amy Dahl about wealth, about generosity, and about family success. Welcome to the Dollars and Cents the podcast.